with 3.5 seconds to play. UVU will trigger. They'll get it in. The breakaway, Blaze Neal. He's not going to score. He's going to run out the clock.
That's classy.
UVU wins it in overtime. Final score, 72-65. UVU wins this game by 7. Fans are rushing the court.
And they should be.
UVU has
ranked team to ever come into this place.
UVU has done it. BYU ranked 12th in the nation. Well, they were ranked 12th in the nation. UVU 7 wins in a row. They're 7-1. Cougars are 6-1 on the season. What a finish. What an overtime game. I don't know who we're going to talk to in the post-game show.
Good afternoon, Wolverine fans. What a fantastic week it was. And I think we're still riding the high. Again, Utah Valley, if you hadn't heard, took down number 12 ranked BYU last week, 72-65. Yes, you heard that right. Yes, again, 72-65. The Wolverines knock off the Cougars at the UCCU Center last Wednesday. And what a jubilant moment it was to see all the students, faculty, community, everybody out there enjoying that sweet victory. We're going to dive into the specifics of that. We're going to hear from head coach Mark Madsen today. We're going to hear from Tim Fuller. We're going to hear from Fardaws Amack. We got some sound from Connor Harding and Mark Madsen post game. And man, what a ride that was last Wednesday night. Fantastic stuff all around. Welcome to a brand new week, and welcome to the UVU Coaches Show. I am your host, Brandon Crow. Thank you for joining us here on ESPN 960. And like we said, 72-65. Utah Valley knocks off number 12 BYU and spoils former head coach for the Wolverines, Mark Pope's return to the UCCU Center. This is great stuff. People that had any doubts about this Wolverine team, or people that had any doubts about Fardaws Amack and how he was going to respond this year after really having his coming out party earlier in the spring, everybody saw what he was able to do. He finished the season as the nation's leading rebounder, for heaven's sake. So he's on everybody's radar. And here he goes into the toughest opponents, the highest ranked opponents that Utah Valley had faced. And he puts up 20-20. I mean, give me a break. Fardaws Amack has just been unstoppable so far this year, and he's been fantastic. Well, again, we're going to dive into the specifics, but Justin Harmon coming out and having a 20-point performance. Love it from the young fella. J-Lo, as he calls himself and as his buddies call him, as we heard a couple weeks ago in the interview right here in our coaches show. Just every single person from top to bottom, from the coaching staff all the way down to the bench players and all the way down to the management and the managers on this Utah Valley men's basketball staff. Kudos to you guys. You provided the community, you provided Utah Valley and its fans with a moment and a night that they will not forget. So again, still riding the high. Utah County, for this week at least, still painted green. Fardaws Amack, like we talked about, had 24 points and 22 rebounds. 24 points and 22 rebounds. He recorded his 7th straight double-double. 7th straight. He's one of the best in the nation. He leads the nation in double-doubles. Justin Harmon, like we talked about, scored a career-high 24 points to lead Utah Valley to its first ever win over a ranked opponent. Again, this is never going to get old. It's not going to get old. So if you don't want to hear this, you can turn the channel. But 72-65, Utah Valley beats BYU, number 12 ranked BYU. Again, we'll throw that out there in overtime. And so Utah Valley now are 4-0 in overtime games this season. They pick up their 7th straight win on the season. So not only are they 7-1, but 4 of their last 7 games have been overtime matches. It's good stuff. And not only did UVU beat BYU, but they gave them their first loss on the season. So Utah Valley, after defeating BYU, made their record a little blemish. So it's the first win ever over a ranked opponent in Utah Valley history. The Wolverines were previously 0-10 all time against teams in the top 25. So this is what head coach Mark Madsen had to say to BYU TV Spencer Linton amidst the chaos of people storming the court right after the game.
And an all-timer for Utah Valley. What does this win mean to this program and what you want to do moving forward?
Well, first of all, we have tremendous respect for the BYU program. You know, they run great schemes. They did a great job. Look, our guys came out. Our guys made plays tonight. You got to give all the credit to our players. Give all the credit to our players. Players make programs, and we got some great players in this program.
Why is your team so good in overtime? 4 overtime wins in 7 games.
Todd Phillips told the team, he said, hey, whatever happens, if it goes to overtime, we're winning. He said that pregame, and it turned out to be true. Todd Phillips said that.
Incredible. I saw you give a big embrace to Ronnie Price, who's an all-timer at Utah Valley. What's it like to see a former NBA guy back here celebrating with you, who yourself played in the NBA?
Well, Ronnie's just a class act. He's involved with the program. He's on staff, and I just love him so much. I love him so much.
Your former BYU guys, along with Harmon, were fantastic tonight. What did you think of Connor Harding's play specifically?
Connor Harding was unbelievable. He has such a presence on the court. Connor makes shots in the post. He goes to the perimeter. He makes his free throws. I was proud of Justin Harmon. What a competitor Justin Harmon is out of Chicago. Bardas, I mean, I've said it for a long time. Bardas is the most all-around skilled big man in the country, and he showed it tonight.
Coach, congratulations again on a win. I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. Best of luck moving forward.
Thank you so much. All the best to BYU as well. Thank you so much.
Coach Madsen, always classy. Always classy. You could tell he was pumped. You could tell he was amped after he made the rounds, shaking hands with Coach Pope and the the BYU players and other coaches. He turned around as he was walking back towards his own players, looked up to the family side of the seats and put 2 hands like Rocky after he had just, conquered the steps in Philadelphia, put 2 hands up to the sky, 2 fists, and everybody just stood up and, it was great. It was awesome, but always classy, always showing respect to everybody. And definitely BYU, it's a good team. And it was very tough to see Gavin Baxter go down. I covered that kid when he was in high school, when he was playing basketball at Timpview, and he's an exceptional talent. And it's very sad to see him go down with another injury. So all of our thoughts and prayers go to him, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery. You never want to see something like that happen. Utah Valley they came out with a different mentality. They just came out with, hey, you know what? We're tired of being pushed around here. So we are going to come at you. And so Utah Valley went into that match. They went into that matchup and they threw the first punch. They threw the second punch. They threw the third, and they did not stop throwing punches throughout the whole game. And it really threw BYU off. Utah Valley, extremely physical. And Connor Harding has stepped up so far this year as a Utah Valley Wolverine. He's going to only continue to improve. And this is what he had to say to BYU TV Spencer Linton after that game as well.
Connor, incredible atmosphere here tonight in an upset win by Utah Valley over BYU. What does a win like this mean to you and to this team?
Well, I think the biggest thing is like our team. We've been battling all year. We've had our up and down in, the preseason. We've had guys getting in fights, different things, but, early on in this season, we found our identity going down to Southern California and winning a couple big OT games. And so a win like this, we just told ourselves we get up in OT, then we have a really good chance. And, credit to my teammates knocking down free throws and making plays.
What is it about this team in overtime that makes you feel so comfortable?
Hey, man, they never give up. We went at each other all summer. We never gave up. And, sometimes we were butting heads and the coaches were like, maybe we can't do this. But, we just have that energy. And we trust each other. We love each other. We're a brotherhood.
What was the atmosphere for you like in the game playing against your former teammates at BYU?
I just had to try to keep control of my emotions. I know the staff. I know most of the players. And so for me, it's just being able to play my game the best I can. And, I think I did that.
Connor Harding and his crew were stoked to beat BYU. And you could see it right there. If you watch the game, you can see it. If you just listened to that post-game comment from Connor Harding, you know how much that meant to him. Such a big time. You can't really understate it or overstate it. How important of a win this is to this Utah Valley team and this Utah Valley program. So we're going to hear from head coach Mark Madsen and what he feels given, a couple days after. So he's able to let his emotions and everything come down, but we'll hear from him and get his take on that as well. But he said, again, Fardaws Aimaq leading the nation in double doubles with the 7th in a row. With 22 rebounds, he's recorded 15 or more rebounds in 5 of the 8 games he's played so far this year. So he's a candidate for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award, and he scored his 24 points on a 7 of 9 clip from the field and an 8 of 13 mark from the free throw line. He also dished out a season-high 4 assists and had a career-high 5 steals. So you hear Coach Madsen right there. That was a bold statement that he said at the end of those comments with Spencer Linton, that he feels like Fardaws Aimaq is the best overall big man in the country. That's a big statement. And if Fardaws Aimaq continues to play like he did against BYU and so far again through the season, you can't doubt that. You cannot doubt that. And again, going back to that stat line, 22 rebounds, 24 points, season high 4 assists, and had a career high 5 steals. What borderline 7-foot center that you have is going to be getting 5 steals from you, especially in a game like that. So we can go on and on about last Wednesday, but ultimately it is one game. Utah Valley continues to build off of that game, and they're going to look ahead. They had a game canceled against Yellowstone Christian on Friday, and Yellowstone Christian's doors pretty much closed. So the school is trying to figure out what's going on over there, but Utah Valley did not play a game after the BYU win. And now they look ahead to 2 tough games this week. They look ahead to being on the road against Southern Utah on Wednesday, and then they look ahead to going into Laramie and taking on Wyoming on Saturday. So Utah Valley has their eyes set on 2 tough Division I opponents here. So we'll be interested to see how this Utah Valley team reacts to what happened last week and what they're going to do ahead this week. But again, before we end this first segment, I just want to continue to show praise and shower praise on these Utah Valley players. I want to run down the box score, but we already talked about Fardaws Aimaq. We talked about Justin Harmon just a little bit, but in total, let's just go ahead and pull up that box score for you one more time. Latrey Darthard finished off with 2 points, but he had a fantastic night defensively as well. Blaze Niels with 6 points, Tim Fuller with 4 points, Fardaws Aimaq, like we talked about, 24 points, Connor Harding, 10 points. And then Justin Harmon with 24 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, 8 of 10 at the free throw line, and 7 rebounds and 1 assist as well. And other players also got in on the action, but you cannot say enough about this Utah Valley team. And when you think about last Wednesday, you can't help but have a smile on your face. So Utah Valley, historic victory over BYU, over the 12th ranked BYU Cougars. And I love my boys over at Sports Nation, Spencer Linton, Jeremy Jordan. They're really good friends of mine. I used to work over there as a student, but it was funny, man. I mean, they were wearing black the next day on their Sports Nation show. They were in mourning, and they had Tyler Haas on, and they just couldn't believe it. And even in the post game, Tyler Haas and Jeremy Jordan were just looking at each other, and they just really didn't know what to say. And it's just a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Utah Valley stuns BYU 72-65. We're just getting started here on this UVU Coaches Show on ESPN 960. We're going to hear from head coach Mark Madsen. We're also going to hear from Tim Fuller. We're going to hear from Fardaws Aimaq, and we're also going to hear from Director of Basketball Operations Michael Johnson. Utah Valley on Wednesday debuted a 5 for the Fight patch, becoming the first NCAA team to have a patch on their jersey, to be able to have some sort of correlation or relationship with a program or an institution like that. And so we're going to hear from Michael Johnson on the specifics of how that came to be. And it's just a very cool program and a very cool thing for Utah Valley to be a part of. Again, with the local ties to the 5 for the Fight, with the Utah Jazz having their pin and their patch, is awesome to see Utah Valley partner up like this. So 5 for the Fight, it's a nonprofit that invites everyone to donate $5 to the fight against cancer. It's an organization crowdfunding for cancer research, and it is something everyone can do, and it provides a way for every person to contribute to a cause that is literally saving lives. So we're going to hear from Michael Johnson about that. And if you do want to join the fight against cancer and contribute $5, please text FIGHT, that's FIGHT, to 50555. So again, that's FIGHT. So text FIGHT to 50555 and confirm your donation. We're getting started here on the UVU Coaches Show. Coming up next, we'll take a quick break. But coming up next, we're going to hear from head coach Mark Madsen and get his thoughts on that wonderful week, the historic week for Utah Valley men's basketball. Don't go away. We'll be right back right here on ESPN 960. Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show here on ESPN 960. Now we are joined by head coach Mark Madsen. Coach, a lot of emotions this past week. How are you feeling right now?
I mean, Brandon, I feel good. I feel relaxed. I feel excited about our team. You know, I feel I'm trying to describe the emotion. I mean, I feel excitement for the challenges ahead. You know, obviously, this past week was a good week of basketball for us. We had a good win against a very strong BYU team. Really well coached BYU team. Good players. They had some injuries, no question. Look, we had suffered some injuries as well with Trey Woodbury being out, but right now the mentality is continue to look forward and prepare for the next opponent, Southern Utah, the conference games, and some of the other games that we have coming up on our schedule.
Coach, you've been in the biggest moments. Obviously winning championships in the NBA and being a part of very fantastic teams and moments in NBA history. Essentially, how do you allow yourself to celebrate those moments and then quickly shift gears to prepare for something else? How do you do that?
Well, as a basketball coach, you have to enjoy the journey. And as a basketball player, you have to enjoy the journey. And you have to live in the moment a little bit. And so it was a special night for Utah Valley. It was a special night for the students here, for the fans, for the families involved, which the families sacrifice a lot. My wife, Hannah, and our kids, I'm gone a lot. I'm gone a lot recruiting. I'm gone a lot nights at games. And so to share that moment with Hannah, and our daughter, Allie, was there. And, my parents were there. Hannah's parents were there. But all the friends and relatives and community members that came, I think, had a great night.
And I'm sure the water being thrown at you in the locker was a lot better than the sting of the champagne in the NBA. I'm sure.
When we won the championship in Philadelphia, I came out of the bathroom, and there was champagne everywhere. And I didn't realize the fumes of champagne, it burns your throat. I mean,
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I can't really breathe. The fumes, it was a lot. But that was a great moment also to be there with the Lakers celebrating a championship. But, look, when it's all said and done, the win against BYU, it was one win. But it was kind of a David and Goliath moment a little bit. And look, it was an overtime game. Could have gone either way.
Sure.
It went our direction. But it was a night for our players to remember and their families to remember.
Just post-practice, I was able to speak with Tim Fuller and with Fardaz Amack and talking about the grit of this team. I've been able to observe a couple practices and see the intensity level at these practices. Do you attribute how hard you guys practice to when it comes to these overtime games, they're not phased?
Well, we try to do some drills in our practice sessions where it's late game and a lot of decisions have to be made. To foul, not to foul. To go for a three-point shot or to go for a quick two. And so we call it winning time. I got it from a coach in California, a friend of mine, who's the head coach at Citrus College, Coach Lauer. And we do it here. And it's been really good for us, and it's helped us.
So, Coach, last week after BYU, you had another game canceled with Yellowstone Christian for unforeseen circumstances with that program. But now you're looking ahead this week, 2 games on the road, tough games in Southern Utah and at Wyoming. We'll first start with Southern Utah. What are you expecting from Southern Utah?
Well, I mean, look, I've been watching the film the last 2 or 3 days with Jared Jackson, who is kind of spearheading the scout. And, I mean, look, Southern Utah is a really talented team. They're well coached. They're talented. John Knight III is just an unbelievable player in terms of his ability to get to the rim. Tavion Jones, a talented wing. Madsen Fawcett, who is one of the most versatile players I've seen. He's a Utah-based player, meaning he grew up here in the state. His father was a coach. I can't remember which high school. Might have been Lehigh High School. I'll have to double-check the notes. But you talk about a well-coached team with Coach Simon. You talk about some great players. It's going to be a battle. They won their conference last year. You know, we were conference champs as well last year, but this is a new year. This is a new day, and we have to forget about what happened yesterday or in the past and play in the present.
Coach, one of the things that I talked with Fardaws Aimaq about, so I talked to him. I grew up, and among my peer group for a little while, especially in elementary school, I was a quote-unquote big man. So when I would play basketball, I was always in the key. Yeah. And so I loved to dance, and my dad always taught me about footwork. I was a football player as well. Yeah. What was one of the biggest lessons about footwork that you learned that you have kind of like helped Fardaws learn as well?
Well, I mean, very simple. Kevin McHale, who is a Hall of Fame player, should be a Hall of Fame coach. He preached one simple move in the post, which is the rocker step. And I'm telling you, nobody taught it to me until I was in my fourth year in the NBA, and Kevin McHale taught it to me.
Really?
Yeah. So I teach it to all our players. I teach it to every kid that comes to our camp. I teach it to everybody I come into contact with. It's astonishing how few players use it, and the small number of players that actually know how to use it well. All of our players know how to do it because we drill it. We drill it every day. And it's a tool that they can put in their toolbox and pull out in big games, and it works.
And speaking about Fardaws, what another 2020 performance for Fardaws and the growth that he's been able to have, and nothing seems to faze him.
Fardaws is built for big moments. I mean, I told Fardaws, and just the level of play that he elevated his game to during the BYU game was incredible. To control and dominate the glass the way he did against huge and strong BYU players. Caleb Lohner is a big, strong, talented player. Atiki, Traore, you can go down the list. I mean, these guys are big and strong and powerful, and Fardaws was phenomenal in controlling the paint. And that shows. And everyone always says rebounding translates when you go from college to the NBA. I fully expect Fardaws to be a tremendous rebounder at the professional level.
And one fun thing about Fardaws, he was an MMA player. You've taught him basketball moves. Has he taught you any MMA moves?
Look, I'm smart enough to know one thing. Don't get involved in any type of physical match with our players. Don't get involved with Fardaws. Don't get involved with Connor Harding. I might end up on the ground.
All right, Coach. Last point here for you. We will be talking to Tim Fuller as well. What can you say about the growth that Tim Fuller has had doing the dirty work that not very many people see?
Look, I can't say enough about Tim Fuller. Tim Fuller played almost 40 minutes at Pepperdine. I mean, Tim Fuller has worked on his nutrition, his conditioning, his stamina to the point where he could play a 40-minute game, basically, at Pepperdine. That's incredible. That's incredible. He can play multiple positions. He can play the 4. He can play the 5. Tim Fuller can guard guards on the perimeter. You put the players in enough positions, and you really see what they can do. In our preseason, in our scrimmages, we're seeing Tim Fuller as one of our best closeout guys on the team. And then finally we're saying, wait a minute, guys, Tim can guard guards out there. And he can. And it's impressive. He did it against Idaho. He did it against Nicholls State. And that helps our team because it gives us more defensive versatility.
Perfect. All right, last question for you, Coach. Keys to success for the Wolverines this week or what?
Well, one of the biggest things we have to do is control the glass, make the extra pass on offense, and share the ball, and then be locked into the game plan.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time as always.
Brandon, thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back with more here on the UVU Coaches Show right after this on ESPN 960. Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show on ESPN 960. Brandon Crow with you here. Now we are joined by Tim Fuller. Tim, first time you've joined the broadcast. How you been?
I've been really good. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, excited to talk about a few things over here.
So obviously we'll get into the big BYU win last week. We'll take a look at SUU. But first off, growing up in the desert in Highland in Arizona, Gilbert area, what was that like?
It was great. You know, I actually grew up in the Idaho, southeast Idaho area, Pocatello.
Okay. All right.
A little bit in the Rexburg area as well, and then moved to Gilbert during
Little bit
high
of a
school.
difference?
Yeah, a little bit of a difference. Quite the climate change. So, but it was great move for our family, and yeah, great experiences down there in Gilbert. So a lot of ties here. I mean, I've met a lot of people here at UVU from the Gilbert area as well. So it's a good place to be.
So what was the biggest change for you between Idaho and Arizona?
Yeah, so I went to Sugar Salem High School on the outskirts of Rexburg. Little small school, probably about 500 people, maybe 100 people in my graduating class. And then moved down to Highland High School in Gilbert with probably 3,500 kids in the school. So it was a big difference, and just got exposed to a lot of. I was able to play against some high level players there in the valley. So it was a big jump for me. You know, there was quite a steep learning curve. You know, I really had to up my game a lot, but it proved to be a really big step for my development, and it was a huge blessing actually. So
where did basketball first come from for you?
So it's deep in my family.
Okay.
Yeah, my father played at Idaho State University. I have an older brother that played at Dixie State, and so it's just kind of always been in the family, and it's kind of fun to keep that going. And it's just always really fun talking hoops with my pops and my older brother. So
who's the best basketball player in your family?
I mean, I gotta say it's me, but but no, I think anytime we go and play together, it's always, you know, those one-on-one matchups can be pretty intense sometimes.
So do you get the height from your dad's side?
From both, actually. My dad's 6'6", my mom's 6'1".
Wow.
So
did your mom ball at all?
She played volleyball.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. So.
Did you ever think about doing volleyball as well?
I had our high school volleyball coach who really wanted me to. I gave it some thought, but ultimately wanted to stick with basketball. So.
Did you play any other sports at all?
I mean, I played Little League baseball, but other than that, it was just basketball for me. So.
Right on. So what is something that well, first off, Utah Valley wasn't your first collegiate destination.
No.
So what was it like making that choice? How did that come about?
So I did a redshirt year at Weber State is where I started. Played my second year at Weber State. Had a great experience up there. Really loved the school. It was a great situation. And ultimately, I you know, there were some just changes in the situation there, and decided to put my name in the transfer portal. Coach Madsen and Coach Phillips reached out to me, and you know, I gave UVU a good look, gave it some thought, talked with my family and with my wife, and we decided to go with UVU, and it's been a great decision. It's really been a great fit, both on and off the court, and I just couldn't be more happy to be a Wolverine right now.
So before you put your name in the transfer portal, had you heard of Mark Madsen?
I can't say I had, actually, believe it or not. So, I mean, he reached out to me, and you know, obviously big time history with him, you know, played for the Lakers. Sure. And so all it took was one Google search, you know. I was able to see him dancing in the Lakers parade and his Stanford days. And so obviously he has huge enthusiasm for the game and such great knowledge, especially from the perspective of a post player. And so that was something that really appealed to me, you know, the knowledge that he has and what he could pass on to me. And it's something I've definitely seen here at UVU, just the expertise he has as a post player and the enthusiasm he has for coaching.
What's one of the biggest things that you've heard or learned from him so far?
I'd say just learning how to play to your strengths. That's something he talks to me about a lot, is finding out what you do best and then taking that to the next level. You know, my game's pretty physical. You know, and so that's something he's worked with me on, is kind of honing that strength and using that to an advantage to help our team. And that's been something I've really enjoyed doing this season. You know, obviously we have some high-level players. Fardaz, it's been a blast playing with him. And with all the attention that he draws, you know, all the double teams, all eyes are on him. And so it's been fun just coming into my role and doing what I can to help us win in that way.
So that, you brought up a good point. So for me, I feel like the pendulum is going to swing back to all levels, to college and to the NBA, where the center is really a big focal point, and the big man is going to come back. That's my opinion. I feel like we saw it last year with the Bucks and Giannis, and so playing with a guy like Fardaz, how does that complement your game? I
mean, it really. First of all, I love the take. I'm with you there. But I'd say, that's a great question. I'd say, like I said, all eyes are on Dawes, and so my game is doing some of the dirty work, doing the offensive rebounds, just really being a dog on defense. That's something I'm trying to pride myself on. And so, Coach Madsen was open with me about my role in the team coming into the season, and even when they recruited me, I knew Fardaws Amack was going to be here. I knew what he was about, and so that was a choice I made coming here. I knew he was a big-time player, and I knew the minute situation was going to be up in the air a little bit, but I'm just really grateful I was able to fight my way into the rotation, and now it's been really good. Just really trying to do the dirty work for my team, whether it's offensive rebounds, helping out on defense, and just being a big energy guy, filling that role.
So I've been here to see both coaching staffs with Coach Pope and Coach Madsen, different vibes, but the practices here are very intense. And how do you feel like that benefits you guys as a team?
It's huge for us. We're 4-0 in overtime right now, and I think that can be attributed almost exclusively to our energetic practices, just because we have such a high level of competition, and we're always going at each other in practice, like you say. And so just the energy coming from both the players and the coaches, that's something that I could sense when I was being recruited. Just the enthusiasm from a new coaching staff. It was Coach Madsen's second year when I was recruited here, and just the energy in the practices and their enthusiasm for the game. Every person on this team really just wants to win. Everybody's a dog, and we all have that competitive drive. It makes it a lot of fun. In practice, but especially in the games when we suit up and hit the floor together. It's a really great time. For sure. Now, how much fun was it last week taking down BYU? That was, I've been playing college ball this is my 4th year now, and that was hands down the best game I've ever played in. The atmosphere was just incredible. Was there like a collective team movement to try and support Connor Harding, Colby Lafson, and Blaze Neal? Absolutely. We have our guys' backs, and we know a little bit of their history, and we knew it was going to be a personal game for a lot of us. We know BYU's, we share the valley with them, and we know that in most ways we're usually the underdog there, and sometimes it feels great to take it to the older brother per se, and so we knew that it was going to be a big-time game and a lot of emotions, and I think that was kind of reflected in the first half. It was kind of an ugly game to start. I think we missed our first 12 shots trying to get some of those jitters out. Yep. But once we came together, got those nerves out of the way, it was just such a fun, high-energy game to play in. And, yeah, like I said, it's one of the greatest experiences of my college career so far. It was pretty fun. An instant classic for sure. Absolutely. Now, looking ahead to this week, you got Southern Utah. What are you expecting from Southern Utah? They're a big-time team. They're picked to do really well in the Big Sky this year. Big-time talent. They have several players picked to be on the all-conference team in the Big Sky. So it's going to be similar to the BYU game as far as energy goes. We need to go in there with a lot of focus, a lot of energy. And that's something we're doing right now in our practices. It was fun to enjoy that BYU win for a day or two, and now our focus is turning to Southern Utah. It's going to be a big-time game, and it's going to be a fun environment down there in Cedar City for sure. Excellent. Well, Tim, appreciate you taking the time. Always love watching you play with the hustle out there. Best of luck this week. Cool. Thanks, Brendan. All right, we'll be right back here on ESPN 960 with more after this. Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show here on ESPN 960. Brandon Crow with you. Thank you for joining us. Now we are pleased to be joined by the Big Maple himself, Fardaws Amack. Fardaws, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Your hair game is impressively strong so far this season. Is that been a point of emphasis for you?
It has not been a point of emphasis. I just, I didn't bring the braids back this year. I decided to go, just keep it how it is and show up however it is and just play.
Well, so far it's doing really well for you. Yeah. We'll get into the BYU game and look ahead to Southern Utah. But first, growing up in Canada with your mixed martial arts background, who is your favorite UFC fighter? Do you follow UFC?
I do a little bit. I think growing up, that's tough. I like a lot of guys.
Who are the guys that you do like?
Obviously, I like Khabib. I'm a big fan of him just because I love a lot of the stuff that he stands for. I love McGregor just because he's a savage. You know, he's a dude that will talk to you and not regret anything he said. I like some of the old school guys. I'm forgetting right now that I grew up watching, but
Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell.
yeah, Chuck for sure. But yeah, those are just some of the guys. You know, I haven't watched UFC like that in, you know, a long time. It's a big fight, but growing up, that was kind of my thing. But it's obviously switched over to basketball.
So who got you involved in the mixed martial arts?
My dad.
Yeah?
My dad, yep.
Is that something that he was involved in?
Yeah, so growing up, that's what he did, and then he thought, you know, I would end up liking it, and I did, you know, as a kid, and that's kind of what he got me into.
So right now, if you and your dad sparred, who wins?
I think I'd take him.
Still?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that old man dad strength comes in.
Yeah, that is true. That dad strength is different.
When did you first start playing basketball?
When I first started playing competitively was in the 8th grade, but I was playing maybe in the 5th grade, you know, just like rec ball and, you know, playing for fun. But I really started playing competitively in the 8th grade, and then it just kind of took over, and every other sport that I was doing at the time kind of slowed down for me.
What drew you to basketball?
I just love the fact that, you know, it's a team concept sport. You got to rely on other people. And, you know, coming from MMA, like, I was looking for a sport that was kind of physical at the same time where, like, you know, had involved a lot of skill, and basketball was kind of that.
I've taken some mixed martial arts classes. I got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
But I do know that you get put in some very awkward situations
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
So you need to use your mental capabilities to be able to calm yourself, to have composure. Are you able to use that and transform that into basketball? And if so, how so?
Yeah, most definitely. Growing up, like, I remember the situations that, you know, I would get put in, you know, by my sensei, master. Like, growing up, I'd be training for, you know, competitions and tournaments, and we would do different drills. And one of the drills that I remember the most is, like, it was like a shadow drill, but it was like 1-on-4, and it was basically like a footwork drill, and you just couldn't. The goal was you couldn't let them surround you, so you had to, you know, be using different kind of footwork and different kind of technique to, you know, constantly be moving and trying to, you know, hold your space so you're not surrounded by 4 guys. And, like, just little stuff like that has got me the ability, or it gave me the ability to understand, you know, basketball at a higher rate than some other people.
Now, you brought up a good point. How important is footwork, especially for a big man?
Super important. I think footwork is, you know, one of the things that goes, you know, doesn't get a lot of praise just because due to the fact that, like, a lot of people, when they think of basketball, they think, you know, 3-point shot, you know, dunks, this and that. But before you can do any of that stuff is, you know, you have to understand footwork. Before you can catch a 3-point ball, you know, coming off a ball screen, you have to understand, like, are you going to catch the ball, you know, left, right, or right, left? Are you going to, you know, back out off a screen and, you know, use a certain type of footwork to catch the ball, or is it going to be a different type of footwork? So I think just understanding that, and then obviously, like, understanding, like, how to play the game with your footwork is a big part of that too.
What is one thing that you have learned so far from Coach Madsen that stands above anything else, really, so far at UVU?
I mean, I've learned a lot of things from Coach. I think the biggest thing I've learned from Coach is just the ability to play through adversity. That's one thing, you know, it's a skill that I think is really, really important that not a lot of people have. That's one thing, you know, he's kind of taught me over the, you know, 2 years that I've been here, and he's allowed me to, you know, develop that trait and do that at a high level.
So I used to be a quote-unquote big man when I was growing up, and so whenever I played, I was always in the key.
Yeah.
I never could dunk. I could dunk a tennis ball, but that's about it.
Yeah.
What gives you more satisfaction, getting like a block or a hustle rebound or throwing down on somebody?
Depends on the situation. If if it's just a normal situation, I'd say a dunk, just because, you know, it gets the crowd hype. But if it's like I'll take a game-winning block over a game-winning dunk any day. Any day. Just because, it's defensively you just stopped them from scoring, like you just ended the play that could have lost you the game.
Now, when did you first dunk?
7th grade.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you dunked on?
Oh, it wasn't on anybody. It was just, the first time I was able to get the ball over the rim.
When did you first dunk on somebody?
In the 10th grade.
In 10th grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I talked to Latrey.
Yeah.
Latrey said he still has on his phone his first dunk. Do you still have that anywhere?
I don't.
You
No,
don't?
no,
Okay.
no. It'd probably be pretty funny, though, if I still had the video. I do remember the video. Yeah.
What was the situation?
It was the dunk on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a fast break. The kid was trying to take a charge, and he just kind of stood there, and I just lined it up perfectly, super slow. 1, 2 dribbles, step, and then just kind of rose over him. Barely got over the rim, but counted.
So you have put in a lot of work in this offseason, and from what I've gathered, that's been all something that you did yourself, that you started yourself.
Yeah.
Where did that drive come from?
I don't think it really came from anywhere. I think, I've kind of always had that drive. I think it was just more of understanding, these are my goals, and for me to reach my goals, I have to do A, B, and C. So it just was more of setting up a plan and just following the plan that I had.
What was your experience like in the offseason working for those NBA scouts and in the NBA teams? What were you able to learn?
I learned a lot of things. I learned professionalism. I learned what you need to do to be a pro, what you need to handle, and all the different things that go into being a pro. I think all those lessons and tools that I learned from the off season has obviously translated into our season, and that's helped me become a better basketball player on the court, and also work around the mental aspect of basketball too. So I think it's helped me out a ton.
Now, walk us through your emotions last week against BYU. During that game, was there a moment where you knew that you guys had it?
Right from the jump, I thought we were going to win. Before the game, I was, literally texting everybody. I'm like, watch tonight. Watch what's going to happen. And that just goes to, our coaching staff, the confidence that they have in us, the confidence that I have in our team. And just obviously, we knew that they were going to be a really good team coming in. But at the end of the day, we're so versatile as a team that, we can – if you want to play big, we'll play big. If you want to play small, we'll play small. If you want to play, whatever type of basketball, we can play it. So I think that's what they didn't realize and they didn't understand. And when they came in, we mucked it up the first half, and it was ugly. It was 20 points a team, and, it was one of those games where we played more physical than them, and we out-toughed them and ended up coming out with a win.
Now, I talked to Tim about this, but was there a collective – almost like a band of brothers type thing, trying to have Blaze Neal, Connor, and Colby's back?
Yeah, most definitely. Anytime, we're playing, we're trying to have anybody's back on the team. All the guys are, understanding of how important the season is to every single one of us. But that game, was a little bit more important to some of those guys. So we knew, let's get this for these guys. Let's step it up.
All right, now looking ahead this week, you got Southern Utah. What do you know about Southern Utah?
They're returning most guys. They're a really, really good team. They have a head coach that's really, really good. He's been there for 6 or 7 years. That's a team that's I think Ken Palm top 160 or whatever. So, they're going to be really, really good. I'm excited to play them just because I know it's going to be a packed out crowd. I was on Twitter the other day seeing, they're already promoting their game against us while they have a game, before us. So I'm excited for that game. It's going to be a really good game, and with the team that they have, I think we can match up with them and come out with the W.
All right. Last question for you. Best representation of MMA in a movie or a show is what?
Best representation of MMA in a movie or show. Any movie with Jason Statham in it.
Oh, okay. Is that your guy?
Yeah. He's a stud. Yeah.
Well, so are you, Fardas.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more on the UVU Coaches Show after this. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the UVU Coaches Show. It's been a good show so far. We've heard from head coach Mark Madsen. We've heard from Tim Fuller, from Fardaw Zamak. Now we're going to close out the show with a special guy who pretty much runs the show behind the scenes for Utah Valley men's basketball, and Michael Johnson. Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me.
All right, so first and foremost, for the viewers at home listening to this, you're not going to be able to see this unless you go and you watch the tape, but you are sporting a fantastic mustache, man. What was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, my wife hates it, but well, shoot, we're on this 7-game winning streak now,
Hey.
And the last time I shaved was after the Boise State game, right when we lost the opener, and so I've just kept it. So the staff won't let me shave it, the players won't let me shave it. My wife wants me to shave it, but it's staying.
Still part of No Shave November, right?
Exactly.
November? We'll just keep it that way. Now, Coach, we'll dive into the specifics of what happened last week and the emotion and everything. But first and foremost, heard that you are somebody that's very torn when it comes to sports. You have a love for basketball, obviously, but you also have a love for the fairways and for the greens.
Yeah. I kind of an untraditional way to get into college coaching. Was a college golfer, collegiate golfer at Weber State, right just up the road in Ogden. Was there for 4 years. Played basketball in high school, played golf in high school, played all the sports, football, baseball, all that stuff. But ended up playing golf collegiately up there, and then got into the coaching side of basketball after college.
Have you ever hit a hole in one?
I have not. No, I've hit it into the hole and it bounced out.
Oh,
I've lipped out a hole in one before, twice actually. So I've come very, very close, but still chasing it.
So again, for those that might not necessarily see you physically, no offense, but not necessarily a physical imposing guy. But when it comes to golf, what is your forte? Is it driving? Because it doesn't matter when it comes to golf. You got guys like Justin Thomas who are smaller guys.
Yeah.
Cameron Smith even putting the boom behind the ball in the drive. So what is your forte?
Well, shoot. In college, it was probably short game.
Okay.
But now that I don't play as much, honestly, probably driving. Because right now I don't care. Like if I go out and play, I just grip it and rip it now. So driving's probably my strength now. In college, it was probably my short game. But now that I don't practice as much, the short game's not as sharp.
What is your best score?
I shot a 63. That's my low score.
Wow.
Competition, I think 65. But just out there playing was a 63.
Okay. Well, I'll keep that in my back pocket and try and have you come give me some pointers. I come from a baseball background, so I'm still trying to fight the baseball swing.
Yeah.
But I know this can be a very interesting question, I guess. But what are the comparisons, if any, from golf to basketball?
Well, obviously, it's a very different sport, completely different. Golf is an individual sport. Actually, college golf is a really unique thing. It's an individual sport, right, wrapped up in a team concept, right? That's what my college coach always said. It's individual, so you got to do your job, but everybody's got to do their job, right, for you to have a good team score. But I would say the most similar thing would be mental, right? Golf is a super mental game. You're out there, walking the fairways, you're kind of by yourself, you've got a lot of time to think, right? So your mental game is super important. And especially at the higher levels you go in basketball, that mental side of it is kind of what can separate you. Because everybody's, skilled and big and physical and fast and all that stuff, but mentally you can really separate yourself. So I would say there are some similarities there with the mental side of it for sure.
How do you stay sharp mentally?
Oof. I think you put yourself in – are you talking basketball or golf?
Either way.
Either way. I think you put yourself in pressure situations a lot, right? So we do a good job here. Coach does a really good job of, in practice, putting our guys in different situations, different scenarios where they've got to understand, hey, if this happens, this is what we got to do, right? And I got to do my job here. And it's the same thing in golf, right? We would do different things and different drills where it's like, hey, you're in this situation, simulating some pressure situation so that you can, mentally focus, mentally lock in, kind of tune out the distractions, tune out the emotions as much as you can, and to kind of lock in mentally and get the job done.
Now, where did basketball come in your life?
Yeah, so, grew up playing all my life, loved it, always had a ball in my hand, played since I was little, all the way through high school. Played for a guy named Clint Hordeman out of Idaho that had a huge impact on me coaching wise, right? Just loved him as a coach. And so he actually started a club team called Select Basketball. And so I played for them. And then when I was done golfing, went back to Idaho, got on coaching with them, right? Coaching with Select. So we would go in the summer, do the summer AAU circuit, right? We'd go to Vegas, go to Los Angeles, all that stuff. So I got on coaching with them, coached high school basketball back home for Eagle High School, where I graduated. And then just got to know people, right? Coaching is such a relationship deal, and it's such a network deal, and it's a tight-knit community. And so I got to know different people through the coaching with Select Basketball. Met a guy in particular named Colby Blaine, who's the head coach at College of Idaho now. He was an assistant. He was the associate head coach at the time for Scott Garson. And Colby coached a team with Select. I coached a team with Select. And at the time, I was working in investment accounting, right? I was working a completely different job, but was coaching with Select in my spare time. And so he called me one day and said, "Hey, do you wanna come on staff with us full time at College of Idaho?" And so talked with my wife, and it was a big career jump, a big risk. I was basically a volunteer coach, not making any money really. And so it was a big risk, but I'm so happy I was able to do it, and so fortunate that Katie, my wife, was like, "Hey, let's go for it, let's do it." And so kind of one thing led to another, and now we're here.
So how did you come to Utah Valley?
Yeah, great question. So spent 2 years at College of Idaho, right? Spent 2 years there, had an unbelievable experience learning from Scott Garson and Colby Blaine, and had a lot of success there. We went to back-to-back NAIA national semifinals, so Final Four basically, back-to-back years, won the conference tournament, all that stuff, and learned so much. And so Scott Garson actually was there for 5 years, I believe. I was there his last year. He got an assistant job at Santa Clara, which was where he's at now. And so Garson, he started at Utah with Rick Majerus, right? So he knows all those guys and everybody. And then went to UCLA with Ben Howland and all of that stuff. And so he's super connected, was really good friends with the Collins twins, right, that played with Coach at Stanford. And so, and then was also with Donnie Daniels, who's Eric Daniels' father, right, at Utah. And so I just had these little connections through Coach Garson, through Colby Blaine, to Eric, who was here at the time, and then Coach Madsen, obviously, and just was able to get my foot in the door and get an interview kind of through them, and then had an interview with Coach, came here, spoke with him, and yeah, now I'm here. Now we're on year 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Again, we are talking with Dobo, Director of Basketball Operations, Michael Johnson, here for the Utah Valley Wolverines. Coach, one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you on this week, Utah Valley on Wednesday night against BYU had a historic night, obviously, on the court, but also they did something that no other team in the country is doing, and they were the ones that had the first official patch on their jersey. And very significant, the patch itself, Five for the Fight, in supporting the fight against cancer. Obviously, here locally, the Utah Ties, the Utah Jazz have that on their uniform as well. How did that partnership and the patch and everything come to be?
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. You talk about that night, and you talk about everything, and I literally just got chills, right?
Yes, you did.
It's crazy. It's just such an emotional thing for me, for everybody. So many people are impacted by cancer. I think anybody and everybody you talk to has been affected in some way by cancer, right? And me in particular, I was really impacted. I lost my mom when I was 13 years old to a brain tumor, and she had cancer in her lungs, and it kind of spread to her body. And she had battled cancer her whole life. Really, it's a long story, so I won't share it. But she basically started battling cancer since she was a sophomore in college.
Wow.
And then, just battled. She's, my biggest inspiration. I wear this wristband on my wrist to remind me of her every day and her battle and just kind of her, the legacy that she left. And so since I got here, right, I really wanted to be able to do something with our program, and Coach has been on board, and Coach has been phenomenal in wanting to do something, and we just, wanted to make sure it was the right thing, to involve our team with some type of, something with cancer. And so this summer, started talking to, especially with the NIL, sorry, geez. NLI and NIL get mixed up. With the NIL stuff, there's different opportunities for us to work with different people, and our athletes to work with different people. And so, worked with our compliance team, worked with, Fight for the Fight and all of them over there. And, it was just kind of a team effort. And we had this, idea of, hey, can we be the first, NCAA team to roll this patch out and do this? So we had to go through all the steps with the conference, with the NCAA of getting it approved. Wow. and all of that. And so it was awesome. And to have it happen that night and all those emotions. And what's crazy, and I don't know if, a lot of people realize this, but it went to overtime, right? On Fight for the Fight night, it was tied 55 to 55 going into a 5-minute overtime period. I mean, how crazy is that?
That's awesome.
It's insane, right? And so, and then obviously getting the win and all the emotions, and we had Lori, who's with Fight for the Fight. She was there at the game to witness that, and it was just incredible, And for us to be able to have something that's so close to so many of our hearts, with cancer, and to be able to help them support research for cancer, and cancer research is just incredible deal, and I hope more and more teams can get on board with it and really push this thing forward.
In the opening segment, I talked about how people can get involved and how people can donate to help support that cause as well. Like you said, nobody has not really been affected by cancer. I wear a wristband because one of my best friends, his wife just passed away last year, and my uncle's got prostate cancer, and my mom had a brain tumor as well. Yeah. And so everybody's touched. But what an awesome campaign. Coach, again, thank you for taking the time to be with us, and best of luck, safe travels this week on your road.
Yep. No, I appreciate you having me on, and let's keep this thing rolling. We'll keep this stash going for a little bit longer. Absolutely. And again, if you guys don't believe me, just go look up a picture of Ted Lasso, because that's what it's not quite there yet. That's what he's looking like. But Utah Valley again has 2 games on the road this week. They're taking on Southern Utah on Wednesday. You can listen to that. Jim McCullough and Jason Erickson will be on the call with you there here on ESPN 960. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And then again, another very difficult road venue and road team on Saturday, December 11th, 7:30, taking on Wyoming in Wyoming. So 2 Utah Valley games to look forward to this week, but we're going to wrap up this show here this week. Again, Utah Valley celebrating a big-time victory over in-state foe and rival BYU last week, 72-65. We'll take a break, and we'll see you next week. Stay safe. Be good, everybody.